Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Debbie's new podcast, The Flower Code. Welcome, Debbie.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
So you're going to be hosting this podcast, but for this very first episode, I'm hosting and I'm kind of asking you questions a little bit. So do you want to give us a short introduction about who you are and what you do?
Sure, I will. I think everyone knows me, at least my audience. I'm Debby Birach-Mayer. I have Flowers to Impress School of Floristry for 20 years. We actually having birthday, 20 years birthday.
Oh, wow.
And all my life I play with flowers. So I've been florist, I guess, over 35 years. It's really scary. But and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So I'm a teacher, I'm florist, traveling around the world, holding all demonstration and workshops and promoting living with flowers.
That's amazing. Okay. So where did your love of flowers originally start? What was the catalyst that got you into?
I probably believe when I was a little girl, back in mom farms, because she loves the flowers, and every spring she will put the tulips and all those spring flowers that grows. And I think that was the first time that I remember when I was a little girl, 5 years old, if I can remember in that time and I was talking to the flowers, even that. Crazy. And I guess all my life I loved flowers, not knowing who I'm going to be. But first recall was when I was a little girl playing in spring garden of my mother.
That's really incredible. And what was it like back then? Was it like a very green sort of environment, countryside?
Well, in my remembering, it was always green and always nice and pretty, and definitely much more greener than here in Australia at the moment.
That's so you got started when you were really little. You liked flowers, like playing with flowers.
Yes.
And then going into school and high school, how did that continue on? Did you know you wanted to do some kind of study in the horticultural space? Or
no, I didn't. I actually, when I went in my high school, I actually went in a boarding school in Croatia, one really amazing old castle. That was a boarding school. It was very beautiful and has a nice old garden and so on. But my goal was that I always liked to be a writer. And eventually I was thinking I can study history or maybe psychology. That was kind of my dream. But one afternoon we went to the next castle in the next town. And in that castle was a flower school. So when I saw that castle, that garden...
So this was a different castle?
That's a different castle. And that's called Vinica in Croatia, beautiful old castle. When I saw that floristry school, I felt in love with the school. I was just thinking it would be so cool to be here and study. So I felt in love. When I came back to the boarding school, I just said, look, I like to study the floristry. Nothing, I love the flower. Yeah, I did love the flowers, but it's more, I just thinking, I love that space. I love that school. I love that garden. And this is the reason why I would love to study.
So how did you decide between wanting to do writing or wanting to study history, and then finally making your choice to do flowers and that kind of horticultural thing?
That was just purely because I felt in love with the nature, with the school, and I was just thinking it would be amazing to study the floristry, walk the way where all those kind of princes was walk. It's just pretty purely
so it wasn't a tough
nostalgic
decision.
And romantic. Okay. It's nothing to I still love in that time I still was thinking when I finish high school, maybe later I go on the uni and do some history or maybe But yeah, that didn't happen. Love for the flowers was much more stronger.
So did your school where you did boarding in, was it Marusheva?
Marushevats, yes.
Did they offer any sort of subjects along those lines?
No, we was in a boarding school and they didn't offer that subject. So if I like to study that, I have to go to next little town. It's probably village. Where is that? Vinica, a floristry school. But that particular Marushevats didn't really allow us to go outside just because we're in a boarding school, very, very strict.
So you got a chance to see
school.
what the other school offered, but you weren't allowed to go there.
No, because we was in a boarding school. But, we somehow make it to happen because I was really revolutionary. I really like to study.
So tell me how that happened. How did you end up?
Yeah, because, they often ask, sure, you can study as long as you have, like, for example, 5 or 10 students that would love to study with you. So we will probably take you by the bus every day to next, town school, and we come with the bus. But you can't just go by yourself. That was kind of rules in the boarding school. So I make sure that all of my friends likes to study the floristry. So I need to convince them. Of course, I didn't want to study the floristry, but I convinced 10 people to study the floristry because I don't know even this day how do I convince them, but I was pretty good in pursuing the people, like kind of, you can study. And they did, and they signed up, and they said, we will study the floristry. But the next year, when we come and school have to start in September, of course, each one of them turned their own subject that they want to study. They don't want to study the floristry. So when I have to kind of go and teacher said, well, I'm sorry, you don't have enough students. I said, I'm sorry, that's not my problem that students change. That's their problem. I want to do my things. So probably I was very convincing over there for that as well. I did everything in my power that I can do it. And they said, okay, sure, no worry. We'll just take you. But it's not only me and my best friend and one another lady. We 3 of us actually only left from 10 people. But 3 of us is actually started and only me and my best friend finish. School, like floristry school,
So what, comparing it to, let's say, like Western Australian qualifications, what level was that when you finished there? Like, would you be able to start your own business? Like, was it kind of like TAFE?
Yeah, like a TAFE, like a college, yes.
Like a college.
Like a college, So that's, you can start your own business.
Okay, so tell me how you started your own business back then out of high school, right? Was that high school?
I finished the high school and I signed uni to go to study agriculture. So, but in the meantime, I was so loving the flowers and I like to study. I like to open my florist shop. I said to my mom and dad, I like to start a florist shop, and mom and dad was really good, always supportive, whatever I like to do. And they said, sure, where do you like? And I pick up little tiny town, 5,000 people very close to us, that I can open the florist shop there. And mom and dad just said, okay, sure, how can we do that? And over there didn't have a really space that you can hire. We get a little tiny piece of the land, and mom and dad built me literally little tiny shop,
It's like a little shop front.
Yeah, like a little tiny shop. They just build up from their own hands. I remember even these days that mom and dad is building. That just I just drew some kind of picture how I like that be.
Yeah.
And that was blacksmith. He just built that frame from the steel, and between they just kind of put the
bricks
and they just
glass
build it, and he just design inside everything. And that's how I started. I was still is kind of in a uni, but I was starting my own business, which was in that time pretty big deal because I was just only 19 years old. I live in communist country. That was former Yugoslavia, and that was still communist country. You can't have your own business in a communist country. I mean, you can, but it's pretty hard and tough to get it. You have to prove why would you have.
Like you had to jump through a lot of hoops to have
Kind of, yes. So anyway, to me, wouldn't be logic. Why wouldn't I have? So we just started. Yeah, so that was pretty cool things that, even these days when I think that was very special from my parents, that they just build with their own hands and support me every step of the way, believing that I can be extremely successful in my business.
I mean, if that isn't the vote of confidence, like building your shop for you, like I don't know what is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and they did that with love. Even these days, I remember how they building and how they talking, and it was like people just around them when they building. What are you doing? And they would probably say that was pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
So when you first started, you have your own shop now. How did you go about sourcing, let's say, your flowers and your materials and that? Was there a particular place that you could go to, like there is here, let's say, like a flower market, or did you have to go kind of research and like look around to see where you could get flowers from?
That was a very good question. It's actually, that was 80s. Of course, we did have a florist supplier like we have here. And we do have a kind of the market, flower market. But in that time, we predominantly selling quite a lot of pot plants. Yeah, we do sell cut flowers as well, but pot plants. And do I research before I start my business? Not really. Did my parents know how much I know? Not really, because that was the time. But my parents believed that since I finished the school, I know everything. I mean, I thought I know everything. I didn't know anything now when I look back. And we have the one big Valentine's Day coming, but it's called the Women's Day, because in the communist country you don't have a Valentine's Day. You have a Women's Day, and International Women's Day. That was 8th of March. And before that, I would probably need to sort the flowers, put everything nicely, properly, and I need to kind of open on that day. Pretty good idea, open on that. Yeah, great. But I went to buy the flowers, and I bought literally, physically, full truck of the flowers. So it's a lot of pot plants, huge number of the pot plants and cut flowers as well. And I have a figure in my brain how much money I like to make. So according to that figure, I bought all those flowers. And that's quite a lot, flowers. Not even thinking, oh, well, can I sell that? No. So I call my probably friends from the high school that helped me to sell the flowers. When they did, they think that is a great and cool idea. Yeah, and they came and full truck, because shop didn't mean that big that I can put all the truck of the flowers in. So I left the flowers in one of the room in my sister and brother-in-law house. And house was beautiful. They have a wooden floor. And imagine you placing the pots in the wooden floor for a couple of days until I sell. What would happen? By the time I just, pick up all those plants, wooden floor was just ruined and just get up. But I remember even this day, they didn't say anything. It was really interesting interesting learning curve, because they didn't say anything to me. Oh, what did you done? Blah, blah, no. And did I sold all the truck? Not really. Heaps of flowers left. But did I pay the flowers that I bought? Yes, definitely. I made a lot of money. I remember that was in that time when was people of course, we deal only with the cash. You don't have like credit card and anything. And that was communist country. And we will get that much money that we don't know where we will put. So we just put it in a rubbish bag. So I remember this day when we just came home, and we will probably put it on the floor and we are counting the money. So my friend from the high school think that I'm so cool and rich because they were just thinking, oh my goodness, in our life we never saw that much money. I mean, I have to admit it was a good money, because money that I make for my first, let's say, Women's Day, it was probably equal these days that you buy maybe a little Toyota Corolla or something like that, maybe $20,000 to $30,000. So it is a good money, no doubt. But because I bought quite a lot of flowers that I didn't sell whole truck, so I actually been able to pay all the flowers. But did I have little profit? Yes, little profit left, but that not a lot. But through the time, I did sell all other pot plants and probably native left, but it was first learning curve. It's very interesting that my parents and even my sister and brother-in-law didn't really say, oh, wow, you make mistakes. Nobody thinks that I make mistakes. Everybody thinks that I'm so cool and smart and good, and everybody encouraged me to go further. So that amazing.
So you had a very good support system around you. You didn't have people saying, oh, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this.
And I was 19 years old. Like, what did I know now? When I look, I didn't know anything. I kind of pretending I know, but they was really good. They never put down, or they never said you're a failure, and nothing. They was just like, this is a learning curve. Next time you will probably order exactly amount and go on. So no point turning back. Oh, I'm not going to be good in that. No way.
So do you think that can be a bit of a stumbling block for some people when they get started with a business, worrying about, oh, what if I make a mistake, or what if I do this, or what if I
think so. Yeah, I think so. These days, I know when I'm sharing that story with some of my students, and I just say, look, if I succeed, so I think you guys succeed for sure. But I guess maybe in some of my future podcasts, I will maybe feature that a little bit more. What is most important when you starting your business? People usually think of money. I mean, be honest with you, my mom and dad give me money for that first truck of the flowers.
So they lent you money. So that was your business loan, essentially.
Yes, so that was my business loan. I didn't have, and I know I have to get that money, and I did it. But did I make, like I said, big profit? No. If I want to wait in some way, maybe I was failure. But no. Nobody think that I'm failure. And even myself, I never consider. It actually give me a drive to succeed next time much more better. Like, it never crossed my mind, oh, that is failure. No.
So after that first initial, what would you say, confidence boost?
Yes.
How is the business going forward? Was it consistent, or would it come and go, ebb and flow? Like, how would you describe it?
I would probably say, and I probably, it's a very good question, and I would probably say very good and consistent. And also in some of the future podcasts, we can probably in depth explain how did I manage, run the business, young girl in a communist country, when inflation rising 50% overnight.
From wartime, yeah.
It was, a couple of years I had amazing business. It was communism is kind of falling down, and it was really beautiful businesses kind of. But before that, business still was going good, but because you're regular in a communist country, you will have all the time people from the government coming and checking on you. So they will ask you, how did you make these prices? in which formula and why would you make this.
So why you're
They
setting
would
certain
usually
prices.
set you prices. You not have a right to have price what you want, or probably price on a market price, because we don't have a market price. So they will set you prices, but I didn't care what would they set. I just set my price. And he will always, inspection come, and he always said, no, that's not right. You should have to do that. I didn't care. I just put my price. And they would probably said, wow, no, you will just get a fine if you just do that. No, I just put my prices. So once one of the inspector that he come in our little town, he will say to my brother-in-law, oh my goodness, your sister-in-law, really funny young girl. She just do what she wants. And it's come time that once he came and he said to me, no, you have to do it this way. I said, no. He said, I didn't come over there to be dishonest to my customers. I put realistic price, and this is the price that I have to put to make the money. And I'm not putting down. And eventually he gave up on me. He just said, okay, sure. And he never come back. So from that time on, I just really put my prices like I'm living in some of the democratic country, not communist, and nobody actually pressure on me anything. And through the time, it was starting very hard time when, like I said, when the inflation was really high, 50%, overnight, like you losing the money. So that was really that's almost before the war. We saw the civil war started. That was late 80s, 90s, 1990. And what we did in that time, I was already married, and my husband will probably buy on the black market some different valuta, like we just in that time was Deutsche Mark. So he will buy that on the black market to kind of preserve the income that
preserve the value of the money.
Yeah. Otherwise, like you will make the money, you will sell, but probably in 2 days you lose everything. Worth zero what you sell. So that's why it was tough time. So you really need to know how. But we did. We just make, never crossed my mind that, or I had a business probably from 80. I think I opened 85. And when we closed the business and when war started, it was 91, 92 when we left. So yeah. I was just a couple of years, I was just having business, and business didn't went the broke. I mean, never crossed my mind that you can get the broke. I didn't know what that
wasn't a concept for you.
That's not the concept. Yes, so regardless if you have high inflation, regardlessly how, you succeed, you go on. You wouldn't be able to get broke, not in any chance. Yeah.
Okay, so run me through the events leading up to like the Yugoslav civil war. So you had your business for a couple of years now, and I'm assuming in that time that's when you met my dad and you had my older brother.
Yep. That was like Dad and I married 1988. I still have a business. We work together. He was very good and supportive. Like he was very smart with the people, so he will just go and, change the money in a different currency, different country currency, so that we can kind of build, and we start to growing the flowers. We have our land, so we start to growing the flowers. We start to growing the tulips, roses, hyacinth, iris. It was very good time. And just before the war, and war started in 1991, your brother was born 1990. We was growing on the fields flowers, but that's on that time we bought beautiful glass houses. We actually imported from Czech. In that time was Czech Republic. So we just imported from, and it was amazing glass houses that we just need to put. And I was so excited. Dad was excited.
Like construct.
We were so excited.
So is this where you'd be growing flowers?
That's
inside?
correct.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's really good, and we was really so excited to kind of put that on. But war started, and unfortunately, we just didn't been able to even just not unpack the glass house. War started, and when war started, we was still doing the flowers, still having the
So
shop.
it wasn't happening where you were.
No, not where you
just
are,
yet.
but it's all around us.
Yeah.
It's all around. We can hear the bombing. We can just hear everything fighting, but it's just not literally in our town. So we still life is
Business
going
as
on.
usual, yeah.
Business as usual. People's dying. They need the flowers. So those business is going. Yeah, and. But it's come the time that Dad need to kind of go to army, and we didn't believe that we need to fight in our own country. We didn't believe in a fighting. We didn't believe that, it's okay to kill somebody. So that's not our belief. So
they were forcing Dad to what?
went to army.
To pick a side, or
to pick a side. I mean, he was on we live in Bosnia in that time, and he was from Croatia. So just Riva is behind. So Bosnian was in that time Serbs, in Croatia was Croatian army. So he literally need to go and fight against his own town, against his own people. No. We was one country that didn't be in one country attack to another, that which was portrayed in the media in that time. That was completely wrong. It was one country, one language that we know. But people just want to put you on a different side, which we didn't really like it. We didn't want to take anybody's side, and he didn't want to kill anyone, of course. So in that set of mind, you need to disappear from the country. But being the part of this, you can't just vanish. Either you go to war, or you are dead. You don't have an option.
You can't be a deserter. Yeah.
You don't have any option. Enoch was born, and one day one of the neighbors said to Dad, "You're playing with your boys, and my boy, 19 years old, is already dead. You can't just live freely like that." So Dad knows we need to go. So we
Were you selling flowers at this time?
Yeah, we're still selling flowers.
So even while the situation was getting progressively worse, you were still
selling flowers. We'll have a kind of warning, they're going to bomb us or whatever it is, so we'll just get in a shelter and things. But they come, business as usual. You just need to go and work regardlessly what's happening. So one day, Dad just said, "Look, we just need to go out. We just need to go." So it was a little bit kind of the peacetime for a little while. So we went to we drove actually to the capital city of Bosnia, Sarajevo, hoping that from that part we can escape. We were just thinking to go somewhere in Western Europe, Germany or somewhere over there. That's when people usually going. So we drove to the Sarajevo, and by the way, I just have to say, in that time when was fighting, it was in Croatia more war, but because we are on the border of Croatia and Bosnia still didn't be in a war, but just Croatia. So in that time, it's very close to us. So we went freely to capital city of Sarajevo, because in Bosnia still didn't be in war. So we was hoping that we can escape, that's how Dad will escape. And with Enoch in my arms, I was planning to fly to Germany, to Stuttgart. But when we came in Sarajevo, not a lot of plane will go, because still it's not too far from the fighting zones.
It's not exactly safe.
Yeah, so probably a plane will go only at night. So I remember very well sitting on the airport with Enoch in my arms, planing. He was couple months old, I think he was still breastfeeding him. So, and Dad decided, because no way that he will escape with me in a plane, he decided to go by the bus through the Bosnia to the Adriatic Sea, and over there to escape with a refugee that was in the big boat from Dubrovnik, because in that time Dubrovnik was kind of fights around Dubrovnik. So he was just thinking, okay, maybe I can catch some of those trike to kind of go up to
So he couldn't go on the plane with you?
No, he need to board the bus. So he did. We say goodbye each other. I didn't really know, do I ever going to see him? Because it was dangerous to travel in a war, man traveling, and he's not in one of the army, either that's Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, whatever army, but you need to be in some, so you can't just freely travel by the bus. So anyway, he boarded the bus, we say goodbye to each other, hoping we're never going to see each other ever, because, Enoch was a little baby, and I wait for the plane. So I wait for the plane, and that time of the plane was probably flying around 10 o'clock at night. I remember even those days. It was a time when was people smoking in a plane. And I just get the Enoch, and I just put him in my arm. I was flying from Sarajevo to Belgrade, capital city of Serbia. It's not long flight, maybe 30 minutes, but for me flight was like
a lifetime,
1,000 years, because, and I remember I can't breathe, everybody's smoking, and it's old kind of men going to the kind of fight. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. But we landed thankfully in Belgrade, and my very good friends from the high school was over there waiting for me to pick me and Nathan, Enoch, and we stay overnight with him, and next day we catch another plane that we took to Germany, Stuttgart in Germany. So we went in Germany to stay with some of the people that we know from village. And we stay over there, but I didn't know, do I ever going to see the dad? Where is he? In that time, didn't be in the mobile phone. We didn't know where he is.
So during this time when you're over there waiting, from my understanding, Dad was traveling through by bus, trying to find a way.
Dad was traveling to bus. And by the way, because when war started in Croatia, we had a lot of suppliers for the floristry shop coming from Croatia. Flowers, and when war started, particularly we have from Split, we have a very good grower from the Split. So, and we pay the people, with the money, with the cash. So when war started, we didn't been able to pay him. So Dad said, okay, when I go over there, I will come to the Split. So I go to the Dubrovnik, or maybe I just come to the Split. I'm just bring the money to that guy that we own. So he's in a bus holding the money. That is the worst things ever, that you will probably putting the bullet on your head, because people will kill you.
Yeah.
People kill you for anything. But so that bus, when he boarded in Sarajevo, was full of the people. He arrive safely in Split. Only him, bus driver, and one woman, and I think another man, if I remember very well. All the people through the traveling from Sarajevo to Split was killed on some point. So full bus, you will get from checkpoint to checkpoint, different army. And all those different armies will find a way or reason to kill some people. So they take them out of the bus for whatever reason. They would probably kill them. Some they will find the gold. Some will probably for the different nationalities. Some will be who knows. It's very thankful that Dad have money. Dad never asked him any. I mean, they did ask him when he's going, what he's doing, and he would probably say that he traveling to Split for ADRA. So that's Adventist relief.
Like humanitarian aid, yeah.
And they left him because in that time in the war they know that ADRA helped quite a lot of people. So in every side, every side would left him because of
leave
that.
him alone,
Leave him alone, but not even checking on him. If they probably check that he has money, he would be killed. But he didn't. That's insane. And when he arrived in Split, people that give us send us the flowers, waiting for him over there, and they took him in their home. And if you just said that coming from the part that was fighting, and he coming to Croatia side, and that was, if you can say it in that time, that was kind of enemy. But no, people never been enemy. I mean, they been because they put in a war, but they didn't look him, anything different. They invite him home, give him where to sleep, and he gave the money, and they find him the boat that coming from the Dubrovnik, so that he can sit on that boat, safely arrive in Rijeka, up in Istra part, and over there we have a family friend that took him and drove him through Austria, and he arrived after 10 days.
After 10 days.
10 days.
10 days of not knowing.
Not knowing. He arrived home where I was and knocked on the door. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that we will ever going to see him. So yeah, that was amazing story of survival, yeah.
And that's just incredible. That's such an honorable thing to do, even in the midst of war. He went to return money to the suppliers that you had to pay.
Exactly. And not just only that supplier, I remember the dad always said that lady, when she came, its custom was like, when you're in their home, they will bring the water and wash your feet.
Wow.
That didn't mean the need to wash the feet, because of course he was in a couple of days traveling. He can get a shower. It's not,
so it wasn't for washing sake.
It's not what it was. It was respect.
Wow.
Paying, like seeing somebody that came from like war part, came from dead, alive. It was honor. And lady did that. So that's Dad always said that was something that he never experienced in his life, that somebody give him that honor. Yeah.
It's incredible. But yeah, that honestly blows my mind every time I hear this story. So you managed to reunite.
Yep.
And through some conversation or one way or another, you decide to come to Australia as you and Dad as refugees.
Yeah, interesting story was after that. We was in Germany, actually. I think I was in Germany for 3 months. And, when war started, nobody likes the war. And we always just dreaming, crazy people will stop and war will stop and I can go back to my little florist shop and life is as usual.
Okay, so you were still thinking...
We're just dreaming.
Okay, still thinking I could come back,
yes.
Like this war will stop,
yes, it was,
this kind of thing.
And I was young, you remember, that was, Dad was, I don't know, whatever, he was 27, whatever, 28. I was 26. So I was a little bit older than you. So, look, I heard about Second World War, but this is a civil war, and they will surely stop. People is not that crazy to kind of kill each other. So when a little bit ceasefire was, ceasefire was, I was so much homesick that I just said, Denny, I'm going home with Enoch. I'm going home. I didn't like to be in Germany. For one, simple people was very kind to us. But if I just want to, because there's so many refugees in that time, and when I'm just walking through the park and going to, in a town or something, people will kind of point to me and saying I'm refugee. And I go to the bus and with pram, with little baby, and nobody would help me. So I felt really bad. I don't know why people acting in that time. Maybe they have so many refugees. I don't know what, but I felt horrible. So I decided I'm going home. Ceasefire, I'm going home. And he decided, of course, he can't go back. He will stay. So we went because I have a return ticket to Belgrade. So we went to the airport, and when we come to the airport and we just give the ticket for me and Enoch, a lady on the airport said to us, "You're not flying." And Dad said, "Why?" "Because country that you're flying is not exist." So we know Adam because that was media war and so on, and we knew that they destroy Yugoslavia, and we know that country in shape that was not exist. We said, sure, yeah, we know, but I'm not going in Yugoslavia, I'm going in Belgrade. Belgrade is existing.
Yeah.
And they said, no, because it was war between the Serbia and Croatia and so on. They didn't really admit that. They said, no, country that it's not existing.
Wow.
And that is the first time that I was scared to death.
Like a really big reality check.
I holding the baby in my arms. They don't allow me. Like I said before, I experienced in Germany what I experienced,
Yeah.
So I can't go back home. I can't go back home because they said that's not existing. And what is going on? So a lady was such a mean, I remember even these days, and I tell that story all the time. She get out of and comes on front of me, I'm holding the baby, and she will say, "Oh, poor little baby, doesn't have her home, doesn't have anything." And it's just, you see, horrible. She's not really sorry. She's just looking us down like we are nobody.
Yeah.
Honestly, I felt worse than the Jew. I was just saying to my husband, I'm out of here. I was even just thinking, are they somebody going to kill me and the baby? Because I want to go back to Belgrade and Serbia and part of the world when they fighting. It was horrible. And then Dad was really good. He just said, okay, yes. I didn't mean only me, it's been so many other people, and they said you need to go to Switzerland and board the plane from Switzerland, I think it was Zurich, board the plane to go back to Serbia and in Belgrade. So they put us on the bus, so Dad just went up to the border of the Germany and Switzerland, but he can't go over the border. So he just traveling with bus with us to just give me courage. And I was crying, holding baby. Enoch was, maybe around 15 months old.
Yeah.
I still breastfeeding him. And Dad was just with us to the border, and he returned back to the Germany, of course. And we just went up to the Zurich, board a plane from Zurich to Belgrade, and thanks God arriving safely in Belgrade. Yeah, and
Wow.
and crazy enough, went back home like nothing happened, like war will stop. Crazy. And I went in my little florist shop and I opened and I start to work because it was ceasefire and I was thinking, everything. And just after that was...
So you still had hope that things would go back to normal, even though they said, "Oh, you're
fighting around
your
us.
country doesn't exist anymore, and there's fighting." You still thought, "Okay, I still have hope."
How crazy is that? Human is really crazy, because we didn't know what's mean the war. Like if I said to you or anyone here in Australia, it will be war, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it even that people just come up to you.
Yeah, because you have no reference.
No
for
reference, yeah. So I opened the florist shop and I little bit work, but maybe it was 3 months later started war in Bosnia. In the meantime, 3 months was come, or maybe a little bit more, I can't remember now, but Dad arrived because it was ceasefire. He arrived from Germany. He said, okay, he arrived, it's not going to, it will be okay. So when we start to work, I remember we had one Valentine's, it's actually Women's Day again, was in our florist shop. And after that, war started in Bosnia. So we know now this is going to last for a long. So we really have to go somewhere.
Wow.
So he went to the Belgrade, and he went to Australian embassy, and he put all our paper for Australia, because we was thinking, where do we go? We have 3 options. Either we go to Australia, we go to America, or Canada.
Yeah.
Canada didn't come in prospect because it's too cold for that. America, I didn't want to go because all those war that's happening, I was just thinking that was the fall of America. So it just left us Australia. I didn't want to go to Australia because I was thinking Australia is the end of the world. Where is the end of the world? That is Australia. So
It's
don't
so
want
far away from
so
everything.
far away.
Yeah.
I do not want to go there. But Dad just applied for Australia because he has a sister here. So we was hoping we will get that much more quicker. Yeah.
Much more quicker. So you decide at that point, when the war starts in Bosnia, you guys say, okay, we have to now actually properly run away to a different place, to a different country, and you decide on Australia. And what happens from there? You come to Sydney, was it?
Yeah. So when we decided to go in Australia, it took probably a couple of weeks to get, or even months, I can't remember, to our visa and everything be ready. But in that time, big fighting already coming in Bosnia, really big fighting. And they was closed the road to Belgrade because we need to went to Belgrade to pick up our passport. But war was really now everywhere. So, and shooting and fire, and it's crazy was. But we know we have to go. So we get the paper from Australian embassy, green light, yeah. You can come and pick up passport and you can go. So we have to say goodbye to our beautiful little florist shop, which was so hard for me. So we left literally florist shop full of the flowers and all materials and everything.
So you had to leave, in a rush.
Wow. We have to have money for tickets too. And remember that I said money devolving every day because inflation and we are in a war. So we sold in a very hurry. We sold off car. We sold all glass houses, which was heartbreaking for me.
Did you construct them at this point?
No, we didn't. It was all just packed. We didn't have it. So we sold all those for 2 tickets. Enoch didn't pay the tickets because he was baby. So for 2 tickets to Australia, we just sold that. And we get the bus and we driving. Getting with the bus up to the Belgrade. So all road from the Bosnia to Belgrade, all road that we riding with the bus was fighting zone. So so many times through the driving with the bus, we need to stop. Bus driver will stop, and we need to get out of the bus, and we need to hide inside the, I don't know how you call it, row.
Like ditches on the side.
Ditches on the side of the road, like pretty big
down.
ditches.
Yeah.
Hide over there until he's shooting
Like
over our head is finished.
Was Dad with you at this time?
Dad was with me, and Enoch is. And every time when we just get in that kind of the ditches and stuff, and you will say like probably, 2-3 meters behind an exploded being grenade or bomb or who knows what. We was safe. And every time when we will come in a bus, Enoch wouldn't put a voice. He didn't cry.
Wow.
He didn't do anything. And every time when we come to the bus, he was only baby in the bus, everybody will clap and say, oh, my amazing baby, just didn't. And thanks God, I still breastfeeding him. So that was really good things.
And this was wintertime as well, wasn't it?
That was autumn. Yeah, you're right. It was a winter time, November. Yeah,
So it was
November.
cold as well.
Yes.
That
Crazy.
honestly sounds like a horror story.
Yeah. And we arrived, thanks God, we arrived safely to Belgrade, and we stay over there until we just get our paper, get the ticket for Australia. And my sister came from Croatia through Hungary to pick us up. And I think that's happened in December, just before the Christmas. And she picked us up and drove us by the car to capital city of Austria, Vienna. So we bought the plane in Vienna to Sydney. And I said goodbye to my sister. Back home, I said goodbye to the mother. Yeah, not knowing where you're going, you don't know language, you don't carry anything, you just have your basic belongings. And boarding the plane, I remember 24 hours, they said we will fly from Vienna. I think we just stop in Bangkok and Bangkok to Sydney with Lauda Air. And in that time, and I was crying 24 hours. Remember these days. And I don't know, somehow Enoch was a miracle. He was just so quiet and good and happy. And we arrived Christmas Eve in 1992 in Sydney. We arriving in Sydney, I was thinking, what is this on earth? This is a crazy...
Strange country.
Why so hot?
Yeah.
Remember, we're coming from Vienna, cold snow, and we just landing before the Christmas. I mean, Christmas and was so hot. I have a long hair. And second day after the Christmas, I cut my hair like a man, just cut so short because it was so hot.
Did you know anyone? Did you guys know anyone when you were coming?
We have relatives that come to us, and we stay with them for a while until we just find an apartment to stay in Sydney. So we stay in Sydney 10 years.
And how was your feelings throughout this time? Did you feel like you could ever go back to floristry and your business, or did you kind of...
I'll be honest with you, I was lost. I didn't know where I am, what I will do, who I am, Everything is strange. Didn't know the English. I think that people just speak only one words. If you say to me sorry, I will understand sorry. But all other words sound to me exactly the same, like you say sorry. So I didn't know any words. English, I was pretty lost. But my cousin likes to teach me a little bit to get the jobs. She said, how about you learn the color? So she will say, this is a green. Okay, green. This is the red. This is the blue. So she said, and she pointed me, what is this color? And I said, blue. She looked at me and she said, you're dumb. You're natural dumb. You would never able to be to get learn the language. And even now, when she said to me, oh my goodness, you're running the school. I don't know even this day how you did this, because you are naturally dumb, because I didn't understand any words. It was horrible. It took 6 months to hear the different sounds
and differentiate between
that's correct.
Wow.
So that was 6 months. So that's a long time.
And during this time, was dad
was
work?
Working. Dad was working, and we went to the school to TAFE to kind of just study the English. But I don't think so that I learned anything, because that was it's hard. Yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
And then okay, tell me the story of how you first kind of got your foot in the door in the floristry industry here in Australia, because you came from a war-torn country. You don't have any money, any funds, no business loans. So you kind of had to start all over again, and in a very difficult position. Whereas back home, you had your parents to help you out with everything, but here, like you hardly know anyone. So how did you get your foot in the door to start working with flowers again? And how did you find the courage to actually start
it's
working
a very
again?
good question. Like when we was in Sydney, people like that kind of met with us, was trying to really help us, and they driving us around Sydney, showing the Sydney and everything. When I saw the florist shops in the suburbs of Sydney, I was just thinking, what is this? That looks like I'm in America, in kind of the, you know, it was for me really, really not good quality florist shop that I can see, like I know in Europe. So even when we was in war country, that is Europe, and we are still no. It has some beautiful businesses, but over there I was thinking, oh my goodness, and what they're making. I really didn't like it any florist shop. But when friends took us to the Sydney to see in the city, I saw some street and some florist shop. I like it. So I said to myself, not saying to anyone, said to myself inside me, when I open the florist shop, I will open in this street, not knowing which street is. And later on, I discovered that is a college street. That is a prominent street in the CBD of the Sydney, opposite to Hyde Park Hotel. It's between the two hotels, it's Hyde Park and Marriott Hotel. That's amazing. I just said it to myself, inside myself. I didn't say it to anyone. That was, if I'm going to open the florist shop, I will open here. But I didn't dream to open florist shop or anything like that. So when come time to work, people just said to me, you need to go and clean the houses because you're a refugee. You can't go and just work in a florist shop. I said, why not? Why not? She said, you're a refugee. And I said, oh my goodness, what's going on here? And I pushed my way, no, I will go in a florist shop. So I start to kind of working in some old Jewish homes. And I didn't last it for 2 days because I don't like to cleaning and I'm not good in that. So I said, no, I'm just going to go work in florist shop. So I went, I put the... you will find probably in that time was in Sydney Morning Herald, like you have a little ads about position in certain florist shops. So I will probably call and say who I am and just put my resume over there. And I would always been booked for interview because I came from Europe. Everybody likes that. That's no problem. But when they realize I can't speak
Properly,
they can't give me a job. But I knew it that. I didn't be disappointed. Oh, I didn't get a job. I didn't be disappointed. I know that's what happened. But I like it to see even 1 hour at the time in interview. I can see how they doing the things, what they doing, what they expecting of people. So that was learning curve for me. And I was thinking, I know. So next interview when I get, I already know how can I put myself? What should I do? What should I make? I was that smart to kind of look at all those things. So my job that I get the job, it was in that time was a famous florist shop, Davis Jones, and he had a Redcliffe, I think some warehouse when he was they making the, and guy was very kind enough, and they gave me job, and they was very happy with the work that I do, but I didn't been able to read the order. Can you? So people, they was very kind. They read it for me, and I lasted over there for a week. And they said, "I'm sorry, Nick, like we can't help you because you have to first learn language." So I did. I did first gone back to the school and learned the language, and in that time back home, remember my mom just only left. My dad died just before the war, and we buried him. We flew back to Australia. We flew to Australia, so we buried him. But mom left, and somehow, in that time, when a little bit ceasefire was, somebody want to buy that little tiny florist shop. I didn't mean florist shop; they just wanted to buy the building, and mom asked me, "Should I sell?" I said, "Sure." So mom sold that and averted like 10,000 Australian dollars, which was quite a bit money for the time that in a war, or would be nothing money, but it was. And she sent me. So this is something that left me from back home.
So from your earliest ambitions of starting your own business, and as a young adult,
Yes,
having your own business, that actually saved you in the long run coming to Australia, something you couldn't foresee. It actually...
It's come behind me, that money, $10,000 come. And because we are refugee, we didn't have a car, we didn't have anything. We just, that money is great to buy things what we needed in a house. We didn't have anything. People just gave us the things. So that was fantastic.
So it was an investment for something that you didn't even know could happen.
No.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, but I had a bigger dream. If we get the money for the car, we can buy some kind of the car, that will be gone. If I buy whatever for a house, that would be gone. I just said, that is the last things from my father, from my mom. I like that money for my business. That was first time that I said, no, we can't spend that money. That's money going for my business. And my husband in that time said, you are crazy. We don't have a money, and you are not able to have a business here. I don't care what you said. This is the money that comes from back home. This is almost holy money for me. This is last things that connect me with my parents, with my homeland. No way I would spend that. This is almost like a blood money. It's so sacred. Yeah. So that's why I just said no. So I start to looking in a Sydney Morning Herald who's selling the business. So I find the business somebody selling the business, but broke. I didn't even know what's mean the broke, but broke business. And guess what? That business is exactly on the street that I put thought in my mind. This is the street that I would love to have a business. That was in a street, College Street. So I said, great. And business was for sale just only for $18,000. I have a 10. Great, fantastic. I'm there. But who will give me 8,000? Bank were not going to give me. We was just permanent resident. We are not Australian citizen. We don't own anything. We do not own anything. No any reference on us. Bank is not going to give us. But our relatives, I spoke with our relatives that accepted us, and I just asked for $8,000, and they gave it to us. Sure. And they gave it to us, and I bought the business.
Wow.
I bought the business. I don't know English very well. Dad know very well. And we bought the business. And amazing. Let me start. So I think like how I started that could be for another story, because that's pretty long. How I started business in the Sydney with zero in a bank, with little loan of $8,000, and how did I succeed? But quick fast forward, I had a business 7 years in Sydney. I sold 2000 before around Olympic Games when I was in the Sydney. I sold for $80,000. I bought for 18. Sold for $80,000 70 years later. come to Toowoomba, have a dream, start to school, because education in floristry not good enough. I can change the world. So that's when I came here, and Dave here in Toowoomba said to me, can you come and teach for us? No way. If I teach for a Dave, I can teach for myself, not knowing how hard is to have RTO. So basically that little money that my mom sent to me, it was for my florist shop in Sydney, sold that, left a little bit of money, and that is for my little school that I started 2003 in Toowoomba.
Wow.
And now is at 20 years. So I dreaming and hoping that, when we sold this school, I will go back home, because mom is at home now, 96. And I spent her last years with her, so that circle, she helped me to be successful in my business, in my school. It's now come my time to be with her in last days of her life.
Wow, that's incredible. And it really puts an emphasis on like that community that we talked about, having family and friends around you.
Yes.
But I think it's just incredible the fact that you took a very small dream at the beginning. You were interested in writing potentially as well.
Well,
and
yes.
you transformed that into something incredible, like through all these years.
Yes, but I'm interested in writing. I mean, look, imagine I was really crazy, because I know you and your brother, you would always say to me, Mom, how you can have a school? You hardly can write English. You don't know English very well even these days. But I do writing the books. I wrote all the school's books for the students, and my dream is actually wrote that much more better and leave behind me all those experience and all those knowledge that I accumulated for the whole so many years in this industry. I love my job. I love this industry. It was very rewarding. It was a dream to change the thinking in Queensland, in Australia. So at the moment we are only school in Australia that is recognized in different country, in different countries, 5 different countries overseas. And we are called to promote Australian education and floristry overseas, which I just find that it's very honor. If I have double life, if I have another life, I wouldn't change anything with the floristry. I will be again florist. I will so even to my last days, I will play with flowers.
So even if you had the option to pursue, let's say, writing or something, a different career, you would still choose floristry just because of...
I may be still writing floristry books, and I will write some other things. That is my passion that I will probably do when I semi-retire. But floristry is always my first love. I like writing, and I was actually very good in writing, particularly in poems. And I would love one day to kind of publish that as well. Definitely, they need a lot of polishing, because now in my language I'm not good enough. Now I'm not good in English. I'm not good in my language very well, and that's would probably still need a lot of working on. But yeah. I'm excited where I am in this stage. I'm thankful for beautiful students that he have in these 20 years since he have a school in Queensland, the Toowoomba, Sunshine Coast, Stansville, and we taught teaching students even Brisbane, Cairns, Canberra. And at the moment, it's everywhere around Australia, because we teach students all around Australia and different countries as well online. And when COVID hit, I was thinking, crazy, I can't teach online. Surely not. But yes, we did. We did, yeah.
That's absolutely incredible.
I remember when we started teaching online, you said to me, Mom, be quiet. I mean, don't yell. This is just a screen.
Because it's different when you're talking in front of people and when you're talking on a microphone.
I was just thinking if I'm yelling, maybe they can
hear
hear me better in the screen. That was so funny. But I'm thankful because I have beautiful, beautiful teachers, which was everybody that works for me is my own students, and I'm very proud of that. And they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And yes, and all those success with the school and everything wouldn't be without them, definitely. Which I'm very, very proud that they believe in me. And some of them is amazing now, owners of the business, amazing designer, and amazing future famous florist.
I think that's definitely something we'll have to cover in another podcast, how you started the floristry school here in Toowoomba as well. Because I have a lot of questions about that. I want to ask stuff I still don't know about. But as like to wrap up a little bit, as like a final question, when you're looking back through everything that you've went through with your passion in flowers, what is one piece of advice, or if you have to sum it up in a sentence, what would you say to someone who's wanting to pursue a passion or their dream, but maybe isn't sure on how it would turn out? Like you had your vision at the beginning, and you kind of just blindly went towards it. But is that the option that everyone should take, or?
Well, I guess my situation is very unique in some way, and everyone's situation or story could be unique in a different way. I wouldn't probably say my story will fit everyone, but what I would say definitely to my students and to the people that like to start something, dream and make the pathway how to achieve. So a lot of time we have a dream, but we have a dream and that's ends on the dream. I would probably say you need to make the pathway how to achieve the dream. And another thing is never give up. Like if you get that you have that you didn't succeed in that little particular puzzles, whatever it is, look at big picture. I don't think so that I look big picture when I knew it, but when I came in Australia, I knew that piece of me with that $10,000 was there, my family, everybody, and that can't die. That's me. That's my heritage. That's something. And that is a big thing. So that can't die. So I can't not to be successful. Yeah. So when people said to me, if you want to have an RTO, recognized training organization, that's hard. That's really hard. I said, okay, let's do it. So if you said to me it's hard, that's give me drive, let's do it, because that's me. But other people will say, oh, am I good enough? Or never doubt yourself and never question yourself. That's another story. But I have to say it, and maybe in some podcasts, you're absolutely correct, we can cover that. You must have, and you have to have support for success, not money support. I don't believe in the money. I believe that you can start something from nothing. And I know, and I'm happy to help in future podcasts, some listeners, how to start the business, particularly florist business from zero in a bank. I'm pretty good with that. But I don't know how to start business if you have a heaps of the money. I do not know because I never had. And I would probably, so it's everybody's situation will be different, but definitely dream and find a pathway how to achieve it, mark the pathway and never give up.
Like put steps and implement.
Yeah, and never give up. Yeah. Never give up, yeah.
And would you say what you touching on the like seeing the challenge as something to be overcome rather than something to fear.
Yeah, challenges is most important things in the life. Success is a good, but from success to success, I don't know. But I would always sign for the challenges, because challenges will take me to success, and they will grow me like a person. They will be obstacles, put it this way, will actually take me to success, and they will make me a better person. They will make me sensitive to certain things that with success I wouldn't find or I wouldn't see. Yeah. And I think that's for me personally. And even these days I like that if I kind of get complacent and I get a cover, it gets a little bit complacent, I'm in my very good zone. I like the challenge. I like, and in business you always have a challenge. So that's kind of gives me, my creativity has to work to put it to the next step. And when COVID hit, should I close the school? What do I do? But rise another opportunity. I grab opportunity. I put it in a different level, and I'm pretty sure could be put in a absolutely different level. I don't know what holds the future. I have a dream for myself in the future, but sometimes things doesn't turn the way how you want. But you do need to adapt, and you have to be flexible how to adapt. I think that is also some business principle, so which I would love to cover in some or future podcast. And I think we can probably do it theming podcast for how to start the business, what is important, which kind of person you have to be,
absolutely.
blah, blah. But also, which you probably find so many podcasts in that avenue, but you may find our podcast is more how to start something from nothing when we talking about business. And also I'm happy to cover some of the trends practical way in the floristry school, and also how to run the business. And of course, for the future, we would love to podcast maybe some of our successful students and teachers as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, incredible story, even though I kind of know bits and pieces of the story, but incredible story. Thank you so much for being open and genuine and just willing to share this incredible story. So look forward to more podcasts coming soon and more content coming soon. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.